This is Andy Revkin, environment reporter for the New York Times in Montreal at the Climate Treaty Talks. For me, today began last night, really, when I accompanied dozens of the young people who have been attending these negotiations for the last 2 weeks, who got off site for a brief moment to go to a club, to a party run by an organization called Apathy is Boring. There was no apathy in sight. Just young people from all around the country and around North America and actually around the world, from Togo, Australia, from Indian reservations, inner cities, colleges, and they were all there drawn by this common growing sense that their future was being hijacked by grown-ups today, older people, the people in suits wandering these halls, negotiating the details of 2 climate treaties. Their centerpiece is a website called itsgettinghotinhere.org. I spent much of today following them around as they strategized and ran demonstrations and discussed their goals.
I'm Meg Boyle. I am from Maine. I work with the Climate Campaign, which is a Northeast youth-led climate coalition, essentially. So I am here because we had over 160 youth from the Northeast U.S. here over the course of the 2 weeks.
I'm Scott Paul. I work for Citizens for Global Solutions, which is a U.S. foreign policy organization. I've also worked for a long time with Sustain Us, and I'm involved here in the youth process because I think the youth have the most potentially to add if we do this right.
I'm Lindsay Dahl. I work for Minnesotans for an Energy Efficient Economy based in St. Paul, and we are a nonpartisan energy policy and advocacy group. And I was here because I was participating in the International Youth Summit the 5 days prior, and I was also doing some policy and advocacy work while at the COP MOP.
I'm Juan Hofmeister. I'm from Costa Rica, and I'm here with Sustain Us and also with the United Nations Environment Program Advisory Council. I'm a youth advisor to UNEP, and the reason why I'm here, amongst many, is because I also want to I'm part of this process of growing in a network of youth who are active, who are engaged, and who are not only at UN conferences, but who are actually doing things at home. People who are taking concrete action and who are doing the right thing.
We all live in a carbon-intensive world, a carbon-intensive world, a carbon-intensive world.
At around 1 o'clock in the middle of the day, as negotiations broke up for lunch or people moved to the back rooms, about 24 or so of the young activists here lay down on the floor in the main hallway outside the big convention hall and started trying to replicate what John Lennon and Yoko Ono did in Montreal in 1969, but they changed the words to some of the Beatles songs. Almost every day they've been staging activities of this sort. Yesterday they handed out fortune cookies, but the fortunes were unconventional. One said, "A clean, renewable energy future is near." Another, "Post-2012 regime will be determined by 2008. And finally, "You will secure decisions quickly and efficiently today." But not everything here was whimsical. You could see the realization growing in many of these young people that this was not going their way in the long run, that there's still current economic needs were being put ahead of long-term threats to their eye. And between that and the fact that one of their party had been ejected yesterday from the building for trying to deliver a climate care package, a sort of a survival kit to an American negotiator, they went to the American delegation's meeting room today to discuss that with some of the senior American officials. They didn't hear still what they wanted to hear there as well. They came out with a sense of strong frustration, but several of them, including Josh Tulkin, said they were going to turn that to their advantage when they got back home.
The expulsion of Nia Robinson from the Environmental Justice and Climate Change Initiative from the COP MOP meeting was upsetting to us because she is a fundamental part of the youth movement in this country. And it is yet another example of the U.S. government's attempt to stifle the youth voice. And we are providing a new vision for the future, and they don't listen into the United States, and they have kicked out someone who was trying to communicate it here. But while this upsets us, it also motivates us to go back and fight as hard as we can back in the United States, because if we see the federal government isn't acting, then we know we have to take it into our own hands, and that's what we're doing at the cities, at the campus, and in our communities. This is our future, and we need to take control of it right now, today, take action.
This is Andy Revkin reporting from Montreal, Canada, for the New York Times. And I'll weigh in one last time tomorrow at the final day of negotiations here. Bill Clinton is expected to show up and talk to some of the non-governmental people here, and we'll see what he has to say. Thanks for listening.